like most people nowadays, when they think of robotics, are just like cars or like literal looking robots from like movies or TVs. But then it's like actually in a bunch of other stuff that we don't think about. Like, how do you differentiate them, but also like find a common commodity between them?
When I say robots or robotics, like a lot of times people imagine like the Terminator, and the point of calling it a robot is really not about how it looks, but it's more so about its function. So it's able to make decisions without a person controlling every part of it. There's not really a technology system that you're designing that a person isn't behind it. Even if you're designing a fully autonomous system, there has to be a person who's programming the system, right? So there is a human behind any system that we have as technology. What I'm doing is ultimately like improving access to mobility for more people. So people who today don't have great access to transportation, for example, that whatever that I'm doing is improving access that they have to transportation. And I think about the word mobility like in different senses of the word, but ultimately it's really about how people can have access to opportunities that help them to like get to the next step in life. So that includes transportation systems, like being able to have a bus that's convenient or a van service that's convenient to pick you up and get you to your doctor's visit or to the school. And a lot of that comes from just my own experiences with my family and the community here. My mom's been very important in my life, and I was born in Nigeria, so that's all the way across the ocean. And then she brought me and my siblings here when I was around 5 years old to the U.S. And we lived in a very small like town in South Carolina. It was like probably a population of like 500 people. Yes, and so we lived there for like a few years, and then we ended up coming to Durham when she got a job here. So for me, like along the way, my mom has always moved us to places to get a better education. So for me, like pursuing my education is really also like a part of what my family supports me in. And I went to Shepherd Middle School. While I was going to school there, my mom was just like always looking for opportunities for me outside of school. So I ended up meeting someone who worked at this place in downtown Durham. It's called Shodor. It was a good way for me to learn new skills in terms of like technology, but also to just gain some independence with having a job. Because after my first year going there, I started becoming an apprentice, so I would actually get paid for the work that I completed. Otherwise, I feel like middle school was probably like a black hole in terms of just life because of all of there's so much going on with all of the drama, with all the kids, people fighting, and also people starting food fights in the cafeteria. So it was just a lot of fights happening dramatically and also just food related. So I would feel like without having like something kind of an activity like the work that I did at Shodor, middle school may have just been like a dead end for me. But I think the point about middle school is that it's a point for us to be able to kind of have bigger dreams of like, this is a goal I have, and of course it's going to take me time to get there, but I can start working on it today. And you can also begin to connect with other students who also have ambitions like you do.
So what advice would you give girls that want to pursue a career in engineering or like a field that is mostly stereotypically dominated by men?
Advice I would give would be to find what you're passionate about. So I think that's like the first step really. Because once you find that, then, and it's not something you can do like overnight per se. Maybe you can, but it hasn't been that way for me. But it's something that you do like by looking back at your journey so far. So even in middle school, you can look back at what has really piqued my interest and what have I like drawn near to when I discovered. And then also think about what would like really make me feel like I'm doing something that's meaningful like in life. So kind of looking back and then kind of looking ahead and kind of thinking about where am I now, and what do I have access to now, and what would I need access to in order to do what I'm passionate about. For me, a lot of the rooms that I'm in, like there isn't a lot of people who look like me. I use that as a way to learn more about other people. So I am very curious. I ask a lot of questions. Even when it's like feels awkward to ask questions, I'll raise my hand and I ask a question. And I think that helps me to learn more about other people who are in the room, and also like what are their backgrounds, like not just ethnic or gender background, but also just educational background, career pathway, because in that way I'm learning to build up toward my passion as well. But then also they're getting to know me through the questions that I'm asking. So they realize that I have something to contribute to this conversation. And that way, like you just being yourself and you really being involved in that process, like you're really making a pathway for other people to come after you.